What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. This is going to be the last show before the window is shut. And trust me, there is a lot to talk about. It seems like Palace are still interested in moves before the window shuts. And it's not only with Adam Wharton. There is potential attackers that we're going to be discussing today that's been emerging from good sources as well. So, look, it's going to be an exciting deadline day. But before we actually get started with the show, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, people. It takes a second of your time. If you do enjoy the show, that would be much appreciated. AJ, where you been? It feels like a game of hide and seek, man. All of a sudden, you just...
I've been busy, man. I've been busy. It's all for the right reasons, but I've been busy.
As soon as Palace win, here you are.
This is what happens, mate. I came out the cracks, mate. I came out the cracks. Yeah, exactly. I come out the shadows.
I might not see you for another 2 months then.
Well. I'll try to be there, and I'll try to be there.
But quickly, just before we actually discuss the players in a bit more details, before, as people are joining, we'll wait for a few people. What have you made of the transfer window so far? I'll be honest, it started off so quiet, and not only for Palace, like, let's be honest, the whole Premier League, it's been quiet. There hasn't been that many transfers, but the last week or so, well, let's just say this, ever since the Arsenal game, it seems like we've decided to, do business, or actually think like, you know what, we actually have to do something about it. What have you made of it?
It seems quite convenient that all of a sudden fans, specifically the more known fans, have kind of put on the club. And it seems that having Texar, Parrish, Bright, and Friedman at the game, and then obviously having that vision of Roy seeing the sign, kind of made the club pull their finger out a little bit. And in all fairness,
but is that the case though? Because I've actually,
I don't know. It feels like it had to get to that. It felt like it had to get to that for the club to kind of turn around and say, "Oh, actually, you know what?" Because I reckon if we stayed quiet and got along with it and just kind of kept quiet, I don't think we would have been made the kind of actions that we've kind of gone ahead and done, to be brutally honest with you. And I think so.
Yeah, there's two sides.
Well, all of a sudden, the Arsenal game's gone. We get linked with a player, bang through the door. We get linked with another player, bang through the door. And then apparently 2 more before, maybe even 3 more before the end of tomorrow. This is not the Crystal Palace I know, especially in January. So, more power to the fans, man. I feel like, people all over the gaff have kind of aired their frustration, and it's kind of paid off to an extent. So, more power to them, man. At the end of the day, as long as we're going to get some good players through the door, which it looks like we can potentially do in areas that are required in the team, let's go.
Let's go indeed. And trust me, we haven't got long left till the window shuts. This time, well, around this time tomorrow, the window will be shut. But we are expecting more moves to be done. It might actually be an exciting deadline day for once, rather than the usual quiet one. But look, let's start off with Adam Wharton. Of course, that's the main player of this window, even though we signed Munoz. That's going to be the big transfer. So the latest is, according to Fabrizio Romano, is that the medical is complete, people. He was in London today. The medical is all sorted. Palace right now are finalizing the contracts for Wharton deal. Hopefully, it should be announced tomorrow. So, fingers crossed, that's done tomorrow. Medical sorted. AJ, I've said it before. Look, I've wanted a right back for years. But Adam Wharton, I think he's a brilliant player for his age group, and the ceiling is just incredible. Only time will tell, but I am more excited about this transfer than Munoz, even though I've been the one that's been on the right back list saying right back, because I just think he's a fantastic player. Of course, once it's announced tomorrow, it's going to be even better, but medical's complete. Your thoughts on it? £20 million for a 19-year-old? A lot of people are saying that he's due to be an England star.
The thing is, Doogie doesn't go to the Championship. When Doogie goes to the Championship and picks up and play, he don't miss. So there's already that. I mean, from my understanding, Blackburn fans are pretty much heartbroken that he's leaving. He's got the right age. He's definitely got a lot of talent, and he's got a massive ceiling. Do I watch him week in, week out? No. I am aware of him. And I know he's got a lot of talent and a lot of quality. He's even got a couple of goals in him as well. So more power to him. I think, I do kind of feel a little bit sorry for Ozil, because I feel like that will stunt his growth in terms of his place in the squad. But if we are serious, even though we've left it until January, about kind of pushing on and building a squad. As to what that squad's going to look like, we will see in a couple of days. But I'm happy with it. It's the right kind of age. He's the right kind of talent. He's the kind of talent ID Palace kind of player that we would get from a championship and developing into a bigger and better player. So, you know, he's been linked with a few other clubs as well. A couple big boy names in there as well. I'm happy with it, man. You know, I know I didn't mention, or I haven't been around to mention the Munoz thing, but at the end of the day, right back, I prayed for times like this. You know, being able to get a right back and a decent one, decent right back as well. Let's go, man. I don't know, man. Let's get some more banners on, man. Maybe we might go get Mbappe or Ronaldo next. You get me? The way we're going on.
I don't know what you've been doing in your free time, but yeah, you're on another land. You're on another land about Mbappe, Ronaldo. Look,
I must dream.
20 million pound. But we know what we want to do as a football club. We want to develop these players, 20 million pound. We want to develop them into a 50 million, you know, type of player. Of course, the higher the price, the riskier it is, because, you know, the chance, you know, of him not developing further could be higher. I mean, if you buy someone for 8 million pounds, it's less risky. You sell it for 20. But if you sign a player for 20, then, you know, you're looking at around the 40 to 50 million range to get a nice chunk of profit, which I think Adam Wharton should develop into that player. I think he's joining a club, and he has had offers from elsewhere as well. I think Chelsea were interested in him as well. But I think he's joining a club where he knows it's going to be the best for his development. You look at the youngsters that we've got right now. I know it's been frustrating watching us play week in, week out. But Palace overall, with the youngsters, we have developed them quite well as a football club. I don't think anyone can deny that. You look at Elise, £8 million. I was thinking about it yesterday. After I finished the stream, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was watching the goal. I was thinking, if I'm a Reading fan, I'm looking at Crystal Palace. I'm wishing them all but literally the worst. Because £8 million is daylight robbery for Michael Elise. We've developed them into a player that's worth at least £60 million. At least £60 million. Eze, similar levels. Gahey, similar levels. You know, we've been very good at developing these players, and I think it's a good sign. I think that's why Wharton is joining. But let's quickly talk about the elephant in the room. 19 years old, midfielder. I think he's brilliant. You know, he's press resistant, very good on the ball, off the ball. Solid, but maybe room for improvement a bit off the ball as well. That's only normal. Is Roy going to start him, AJ? Is he going to start? We've needed a midfielder. This has been the discussion point. For me, I feel like there should be a good chance of him starting due to the fact that, one, he is quality, and two, we've needed midfielders, and Roy said that as well. And three, he's got that experience of playing in England, of course, because he's been playing for Blackburn. But for you, do you reckon Wharton starts straight away? And if not, then when?
I have concerns. You know, I'm not going to get into the Roy debate as that deep today, but that's the only elephant in the room for me. That is, funny enough, you mentioned that exact term, is the situation of the manager. That's the only last thing that needs to change for me. But while he is here, will Roy play him? I mean, if and if he doesn't
play him, because there's a comment there from I lost the comment. You know, that I think it's from Mitch. Yeah, Roy has 16 games left. Even if he doesn't start him, he'll be you know, used next season.
The thing is, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to be a case of we're going to try and power on with Roy, or maybe wait until it gets too bad before we sort of turn around and, you know, decide to make changes. Because even yesterday, come the substitutions and the decisions he made wound me up. And it's like we invited pressure with the decisions that Roy made yesterday. But I think he will get games. Do I think he's going to start week in, week out under Roy? Probably not at this given time. And with the way that Roy's probably going on with, I can't envision him be feeling sort of obliged to either. We, you know, me and you and all the other fans know that Roy has favourites. Roy has a certain type of player or whatever that he's after, and certain type of playing style that he has. But with all these potential new signings coming through the door, which could potentially be 3 or 4 by this time tomorrow, he's going to have to start using and utilising some of them. I was very disappointed not to see France come on yesterday, but that's another situation for another day. But Oh, such a hard one with Roy, man. He's very unpredictable in terms of what he does. Unless he likes him and takes an instant liking to him, I reckon the chances are going to be very slim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're just squad building for next season.
Even if it is, just like with France, I think we're buying these players for the future. We know that there's life after Roy. Hopefully, we're still Premier League football club by then. But if we are, France, I think, will come good and develop into the player that we want him to be. And I think Wharton will be a similar level. And I think Wharton has, with the talent that he's got, I think it's going to be very hard of Roy not to actually play him. Do you get it? I just don't see that happening. Let's quickly go through a super chat. Daniel, very appreciated for the super chat. Says, watch some Wharton highlights. He's got one for a left foot. Yeah, look, if you haven't already seen Wharton play, just search for his highlights. I know highlights are going to show the best bits of Wharton, of course, but some of his best bits, I mean, it's unbelievable. He looks like a player that's ready for the Premier League. That should be able to adapt quickly. And literally every person that you speak to, whether they're Blackburn fan, whether they're Championship, avid watchers of the Championship, everyone's got high praises for him. So hopefully he starts. Even if he doesn't, I'm not as worried, because I'll be honest, in a long-term future, I just see Wharton being in that midfield. There's no way, life after Roy, that Wharton doesn't start in our midfield. But appreciate the super chat from Daniel as well. I Classical saying Wharton is here to definitely play. He needs improvement and has to fix up on some of his abilities, dribbling and touch. But other than that, he's very good. Look, he's 19 years old. He's not going to be the finished product, but from what he's shown so far, he's got a lot of ability as well, and I think he's ready for the Premier League. Arthur keeps talking about Leeds United, no left foot against Leeds. They might have had a bad game against Leeds, but I don't think that's gonna literally stop us from buying him. But yeah, let's talk about the next player. And this player, this is where it gets interesting. Look, Adam Wharton, we know he's coming. We've been talking about him even yesterday's stream, and he's been all over social media. We know he's coming. But this one is very interesting because there's a debate, and that is on Sam Johnstone. But the news from Alan Nixon is that Nottingham Forest are ready to test Crystal Palace with a £15 million offer for keeper Sam Johnstone. Forest have gone back to the Eagles shot stopper after failing for a move for our previous goalkeeper, Jack Butland. AJ, just your thoughts on it. Then afterwards, I got a big question to ask, which I've been asking asked on Twitter, and I saw different answers. But thoughts on Sam Johnstone, rumored with
I wouldn't take the money. I wouldn't take the money right now. I'd wait until the summer. I don't know who the standout number one is right now. That's the problem. I don't know. Like, I don't look at both of them and think, right, he's blatantly the number one. I mean, Henderson hasn't done enough for me to turn around and say he is the standout number one for me. And I feel like before Johnson's injury, he had a little bit of dip in form as well. So, I mean, for me, I'd probably stick Johnson in there till, due to the amount of goals that Henderson has conceded in a short space of time, to be fair. But I'm at a bit of a personal catch-22 because at the end of the day, has Henderson had enough games to prove himself? This is probably the longest I've seen Henderson fit, at least for instance, he's walked through the door at Palace, which I know was only in the summer. So the thing is that, I know we can't afford to sustain two England number ones battling for the number one jersey at the club because we're just not that kind of size and stature of a football club. And I don't think that's ever really worked out at any football club, to be fair, unless you're sort of mega millions. But I feel like Johnson's still got tons to offer, and I'm not convinced Henderson is the standout number one yet. So if I was given the choice, I'd probably wait off and hold off till summer before I start entertaining the idea of selling one or loaning one or whatever it may be.
Look, I'm going to quickly talk about the goalkeeper situation is different for me in comparison to all the other positions in the pitch. When you talk about depth issues with striker, you can have multiple strikers, you can have multiple right backs and left backs. But it's no surprise. There's two clubs in the Premier League that's tried this approach. Arsenal and Palace. Arsenal got Ramsdale and Raya. Palace have got Johnstone and Henderson. Now, the similarities between both of them, I think a lot of people will agree, is that you can make the argument there isn't a clear number one. Ramsdale can start for Arsenal. Raya can start for Arsenal. Johnstone can start for Palace. Henderson can start for Palace. Now, I've got an issue with this, and I've said it all along. I think Johnstone is going to get sold. that's why we brought in Henderson, because you can't have two number ones. It doesn't work like any other position. It doesn't work like right back or left back, because with right back or left back, you know, if he has a bad game, then you swap him over. You know, one game you'll give it to, well, Joe Ward or Munoz or Nathaniel Klein, but you're not going to swap over, I don't know, Dean Henderson to Sam Johnson, to Dean Henderson, Sam Johnson, especially when they're fighting for the national team and trying to be in the Euros. And I think this was the problem when we first did sign Dean Henderson. They're too similar to me. They're too similar in terms of like the quality. Some people are saying Sam Johnson is clear. Some people are saying Henderson is clear. But for me, there isn't a clear number one, which is the problem in the first place. And I think you need to have a clear number one. I don't, even when you look at the greatest of teams, when you look at the Man United, for example, back in the day, they had the Van der Sar. You look at all the big teams. Even right now, you look at City. City don't have two number ones there. They have Edison and they got a number two. For example, you just have to have a number one goalkeeper and a number two goalkeeper. Right now, the position that we're in, we have two potential number ones, and it's not going to work. So one of them has to be sold, and that, of course, will be Sam Johnson, because we literally invested in Dean Henderson. But AJ, there's people saying that Sam Johnson is actually a much better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson. Do you agree with those comments?
Oh, much better. I'm sitting on the fence on that one. I know it's a cop-out, but there's nothing that tells me or suggests to me that the problem is Henderson's had that mad sort of injury spell. That's the issue. But if Henderson never had the injury spell, his trajectory would have been higher than Johnson's, and he would have been probably clear England number one right now. Probably that was one of the major reasons why he ended up at Palace, to be fair, to kind of restart his career. But you are right. The fact that we've invested such a large sum of money in him kind of has to contribute to the fact of us selecting and picking him, because we're not the kind of football club that can afford to spend £20 million on a goalkeeper and not utilize him. It's just not what we're not that kind of club right now. But then the thing is, I'm still sort of torn, because Sam Johnson hasn't done anything to warrant him being sort of ousted out by the club, or I don't know. If we get a decent amount of money for him, 15, 20 million pounds for Sam Johnson, then maybe we do have to sort of realistically consider that, to be fair, to make sure that we're at a proper sustaining model, because let's be honest, the financial fair play thing has been popping off everywhere. You know, a lot of clubs have had to hold back. It's not really been a thing for us yet, but that could be something that we might be sort of considering if the offer is too good to be true. But there's definitely something about Henderson that I'm just not quite sold on him displacing Johnson full time yet. I'm just not sold on that yet.
Could it be his distribution? Some people are saying Sam Johnson has better distribution. I mean, the thing with Henderson right now is there's, of course, recency bias. We look at the Arsenal game. He had a mare. Yesterday, some people still saying that he could have done a bit better with the goals. So recently, he hasn't been performing great. But then I remember, was it a Brentford game where he made, when we were 3-1 up in the second half, he made a great save. I think Nathaniel Klein was about to score a goal. Like, Henderson's had some solid games for us as well, and I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to just brush that aside and think, the last two games he hasn't been nowhere near good enough. That's it. Get rid of Henderson. He's still adapting to the situation. Now look at Sam Johnson. I can't say Sam Johnson is a much better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson. Sam Johnson, he's had his moments, but he's also made some fantastic saves for us. Distribution may be better than Dean Henderson. Actually, not maybe. Is better than Dean Henderson's. But yeah, I think they're two. Even if one is better than the other, I don't think it's clear. And I think that is where the problem lies. And £15 million for a goalkeeper that we got for basically nothing is solid. It's solid to our business. It basically means that this is what's happening right now. We're talking about swapping Henderson for Sam Johnson, because the money that we got Henderson for, we're going to get it back with selling Sam Johnson. That's basically what it is.
The thing is, in that situation, we can't really lose here, because it's not to say if we do sell Sam Johnson that all of a sudden our goalkeeper issues are going to go through the roof. That's actually not a concern. We would make a large profit on him as well. Obviously, granted, he is in the England selection setup and obviously battling for his place in the Palace setup as well, both of them. So there's not really a bad situation here. It's either A, we do sell him for an asking price, whatever it may be, or B, we kind of double down and decide to keep both and let them continue to buying and battling for him as well. So there's not really a bad wrong answer here. There's nothing wrong with either scenario you do. But if there's an opportunity to make a large sum of money on a goalkeeper we got for nothing, then or for minuscule amounts of money, take it. Because at the end of the day, if Henderson is the long-term replacement, then that's still very decent.
Are we in a position to sell though? Because look at a comment from Phantoms here. The problem with me is having Remy Matthews as backup. If we sell him on deadline day, what's the chances of us bringing in another goalkeeper on deadline day as well?
True, but then we've got two young, exciting goalkeepers, and I guess that all falls down to what is. Do you think Goodman's not going to be good enough? I think he's having an outstanding season.
We're about
Whitworth
not right now at the club, so we're looking at.
That's true. So what we're looking at essentially is the rest of the season minimal, right? The chance of Henderson picking up an injury, I have no idea. That's the thing, because obviously I know he's got the history. That's why I personally say drag it to the summer, because in the summer we can have all 4/5 goalkeepers available. So what would that be? Henderson, Johnson, Matthews, Goodman, and Whitworth. At that point, whoever the new manager is that walks through the door can turn around and make a decision on the spot. And then maybe if we have to sacrifice loaning one out, and then obviously going down the path of obviously selling potentially another one, I think we're in a much better position there. Because once you've got the new manager through the door, they're going to turn and say, this person's my number one. This is what I want to go with going forward. And then we can work and operate from there.
Mitch saying, we can risk it for 16 games. Our backup goalkeeper options aren't that bad. What would you respect after Remy Matthews is? That's me saying it.
Remy Matthews is just not levels, is he? He's not the guy.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I think it's scary. If Dean Henderson gets injured and we have 16 games or 14 games to go, and as Remy Matthews as our goalie, I think that is genuinely scary. So, yeah, in theory, yes. What's the chance of Henderson getting injured again? But the backup option after Johnstone is very scary right now for me, anyways. Johnstone willing to go Everton? I don't know if he's willing to go Everton.
No, that's not going to happen. He's not displacing Pickford. No way. Why would he swap one bench for another?
Yeah. So yeah. Look, we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I just don't see him leaving in this window. As we mentioned, I think the backup option is going to be significant in the decision making. As much as the money is very good for Sam Johnstone, £15 million is. You look at what's the alternative. What can we do on deadline day? And I don't think we can do much unless there's a deal to be done there. As you know, we can bring in another solid number two. But the chance of that, I mean, probably unlikely, considering that there's other players that we're still to talk about in the stream that we're going to be trying to focus on hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know if we will sell him now, but in the summer, 100%. Summer, something needs to happen because. For me, yes, it sounds great having Johnson and Henderson there, but with goalies, I've said it all along, there needs to be a clear number one, and we just don't have that right now. So I don't think it can work in a long-term future. Ed saying Johnstone wants to be number one. Phantom saying I think Johnstone will be the number one come end of the season. Johnstone deserves to be number one based on what we've seen from both as well. Look, we've spoken enough about Sam Johnstone. Let's actually talk about some attackers because the rumors haven't stopped there. And let's see what we can do tomorrow. Let's start off with a actual striker. According to the Daily Mail's Ryan Taylor, Everton, Luton and Palace are considering late moves for Chuba Akpom. Sources say that loan proposals are likelier than permanent bids. Akpom, AJ, also loan move. Talk to me.
I don't like it.
Why?
I don't think he's not going to come in and displace. He wouldn't displace our strikers. He's not really Premier League proven. I know he had that little bit of time at Arsenal when he had the little sort of cameo appearances, but I feel like he's living off that one decent season in the Championship. There are a lot of strikers that do it there. And he's gone Ajax and he's done nothing for me.
Okay, 5 goals in 30 matches, not bad.
I'm not sold on that. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the idea. You know, you can go get Ekitike on loan from PSG. He's still sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, but then what's Ekitike really done?
Bro, I put it this way. I'll go on record to say I'd rather go and get Ekitike than Akpom. I feel like what I've seen out of the two of those strikers.
We're talking about loan moves at the end of the season. What's the chances of Roy playing Ekitike over Akpom?
What's the chances of Roy playing Akpom full stop?
Yeah, he'll play Akpom.
Over Edouard and Mateta.
No, I'm saying let's.
The thing is for me,
Mateta. What's the chances of Roy playing Ekitike over Akpom? Because for me, Akpom is easy. He's more, first of all, age-wise. Yeah, I'll get his age up in just a second. Hold up. He is 28 years old, experienced player. He has played over in England. He had a very good championship season as well. So there's so many points where, you know, we can look at it and say he's an experienced player. Maybe Roy uses him till the end of the season. Remember, we're not talking about permanent signings. We're talking about short-term solutions. What's the chance of?
I just feel like we're taking a bit of a risk here on a. I don't know. I just feel like we're taking a bit of a risk here on a player that's never really done it at the Premier League. But at the same time, yeah, you have got a fair point on my argument about Ekitike. That's fair, but it doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me think.
Till the end of the season, you know. Okay, so he doesn't.
All right, put it this way: hand on heart, D. How many goals do you reckon Akpom would get at Crystal Palace for the next 6 months?
I don't think we created that many chances, but
exactly,
I don't know.
I just can't.
Maybe 3, maybe 4.
It's almost like getting Nketiah. It's just very. I feel like we could do better. Don't get me wrong, I'll still cheer him on the shirt and everything. And
I guess
you know what? I'd still cheer him on in the shirt, bro, and he'd have my full support. But I'm just not feeling it. I just look at it and I think it's nice we're kind of linked with another striker, but there must be better options out there, man. There must
on deadline day, loan move. I mean, we're looking at the loan market.
But then remember, that's the club's fault for you know, dragging their feet there. Let's be honest. There's just something about this deal that doesn't excite me one bit. It almost feels a little bit lazy.
Let us know in the comments what you lot think about the Chuba Akpom rumours, potentially and loan move till the end of the season. Of course, tonight nothing will come out. It's going to all happen tomorrow, but I won't be against it. We need someone fresh up front. Mateta, I doubt he does leave, but there's still a possibility. There's been interest over in Europe from both Spain and Germany for Mateta. I've been hearing figures around £50 million, which I think is, you know, solid money. And if Mateta was to leave Akpom to the end of the season, I don't think it'll be that bad. I think Edouard, you know, we know what to expect from him. Akpom, unexpected. Yes, he hasn't proven himself in the Premier League, but you know, I'll take the gamble. I'll 100% take the gamble for now, anyways, as a loan move, because I don't know if there's any other real options out there, and you know, to strengthen the squad till the end of the season. And if it's a flop, then we move on. We don't buy him in the summer. So that's how I see it as well. Akpom is dead, says Losso. Mateta has been on fire. Mateta's hold-up play has been very good, to be fair. Yeah, I know some people go on to him about yesterday, but I didn't think he had
I think the thing about Mateta is the one thing you always got to admit about him is he does run his socks off. Granted, he's not exactly the most easiest on the eye in terms of what he provides, but yeah, he works hard. Like yesterday, same sort of thing. He just kept, you know, burning himself out, holding up the ball and doing his job. But I think, come on, man, we ain't had a proper 20-goal a season striker since Murray / Andy Johnson days. So it'd be nice to get one through the door. Chances of us getting him in January. I mean, if we can put bodies in the team and make sure that the squad's nice and big, then I'll take it. But it's just a bit. It just feels a bit lazy and tiring.
I think you're looking at it like this. You didn't mention Murray. You didn't mention, you know, he isn't the answer to our problems, which I do agree. I don't think he's going to come in and solve all our striking issues. But I'm looking at it like this. I'm looking at it as short-term, you know, solution. We have been struggling up front at times between Edouard and Mateta, even though this season, I think personally, they both have improved. They've been offering a bit more. I don't think Akpom is going to be the answer long-term, but then it kind of, you know, we haven't used the loan market. It gives us the opportunity to use the loan market, then afterwards in the summer, look for a proper striker and try to solve the problems, because I don't think you're going to solve it in this window with, you know, spending £20 million on Wharton. We also brought on Munoz as well. So if we want to buy a quality striker, it will cost us money, and I just don't see it happening in this window. So if, you know, we got loan space available, why not use it? I mean, what's the harm? It's not like he's going to be here, you know, 3 to 4 years. It's just till the summer, and he has his chance to prove himself to Palace and, you know, to the fans, to the board, that he can do it. And if he doesn't, then that's fine. In the summer, we've got long enough time to find a solution, and hopefully by then we can look at other targets as well. Right now, I'm just looking at a short-term solution, and I don't think he's the worst option out there right now. Ekitike, some people are saying Ekitike, Akpom is Millwall levels. That would be a bad move. Ekitike would get France treatment under Roy. That's what I think as well. He's played one game in the league for PSG, and look at his age as well. I just don't see Roy really giving Ekitike the opportunity as well. So I'm saying, is this because JP potential on the move? Could be. I mean, he's been rumored, I think, as of this past week, with a move to Bayern Leverkusen, I think Betis as well. If, let's say, AJ, we were to sell JP, would you be okay JP leaving, Akpom coming, or would you rather keep Mateta?
I think if that's the case, then we would just have to take him to make sure we've got that second striker anyway. So then that between sort of Edouard and Akpom to kind of prove who's the sort of more superior striker for the rest of the season, and then you're right, kind of tackle it in the summer. But if it's a case of we're losing Mateta and we do not have enough time to get a serious striker, then at that sort of situation, then yeah, you gotta go ahead and do that. Then you got no choice.
Look, Colin asked a question: haven't we got 2 loan spaces left? Yes, we have, and trust me, there's another bit to talk about, which we're going to discuss right now. So it doesn't end there with Akpom. We have, according to the Telegraph, we are interested in Maxwell Cornet from West Ham, and Palace are weighing up a late move for the winger at West Ham United. Palace have looked at a 6-month loan deal for Cornet, who scored against Sheffield United earlier this month when he made his first Premier League start of the season. Before I get your thoughts on AJ, I asked Dan Lawless, which from West Ham Fan TV, he often comes in for the opposition preview as well. Like I said, jokes aside, what do you think of Cornet? I'm going to try and get his response now, because I messaged him earlier on before we started the stream, and I'll be honest, it was very positive, surprisingly. Let's see if I can find a comment. He hasn't really played as much at West Ham, but this is what he said. He said, Lawless from West Ham Fan TV, good player, lots of pace, doesn't know what offside is, but can create. Had a bad, mysterious injury last season and never really got the chance to get back into the team. And Cornet, I mean, we all know him from even Burnley days as well. He was, you know, highly talented there, and then he went to West Ham, hasn't really had opportunities. Look, we need a winger who's experienced. 6-month deal. I don't know who disagrees. Who wouldn't want Cornet for 6 months? He might not be this brilliant player that Lawler's saying that he could potentially be, but if we have the opportunity, there's no argument from me. We take him. We take him to the end of the season, because not only can he play out wide on the left, which we desperately need, because Roy's not giving France the opportunities, and I'm tired of seeing, you know, Jeffrey Schlupp or even, you know, Jordan Ayew not having major competition there. But T said it himself in our chat. He can play left back. He's versatile. He can play in different positions. So he could be an option for variety of positions, as well as solve the left wing position in the short term. What do you make of the links?
I'll take him. Yeah, agreed. Before his injury, he was very, very dangerous. Flair player, tons of, if he can get that pace back, creativity, not scared to be in front, not scared in front of goal. Yeah, I like that one a lot more than anything else, to be fair. I'd be honest, I'd be satisfied if we just managed to pull off Cornet and obviously get the Wharton one over the line, to be honest. I'd actually be very happy with that window. I'd be actually very satisfied. Cornet's quality, well, I think we've got an opportunity for somebody to fill in that void on the left midfield scenario. And to be fair, if Mitchell's not exactly on smoke that day, play him at left back as well. He's capable. So I like the Cornet deal a lot. The more I've looked at it and thought about it, I'm really liking the idea of him coming through the door. I think he would do bits here. And I feel like we would appreciate him as well.
Yeah, 100%. With the type of player that he has and the pace, like that's the type of players that we like to see out wide, especially being spoiled with Wilf and Yannick in the past, and even now with Elise. Like that's the type of players that we love. Take him on, give him the ball, let him run at the players, let him beat him with pace and skill. And Cornet fits that category as well as the Premier League experience. But then again, my biggest question mark with this is he wants to, according to reports, join Palace. Palace want him for 6 months deal, but would West Ham allow him to leave? I don't know about that because when I asked Lawless about this, he was saying, why would we let him leave and make our squad get weaker? Because remember, they're still in the European competition. Yes, he hasn't been getting that many opportunities. His only start was against Sheffield United, which I believe last week or the week before. So he's only made one start for them. But they'll be weaker. They'll be much weaker. And I think Ben Rama's potentially on the move as well. So if Ben Rama and Cornet was to leave, then I think that's a bit unrealistic. So hopefully West Ham don't stop this from happening. But that's what I'm mainly worried about. I think the player and Palace, that side is fine. But West Ham, I wonder if they move funny about him, despite them not even playing him as much. Because, of course, he's going to be moving to Premier League rivals as well, which I don't know if they will let it happen. Does the window shut in 5 minutes? No, it doesn't shut in 5 minutes. Someone else said that today as well. It's not deadline day today. Tomorrow will most likely
24 hours and 5 minutes.
Exactly, 24 hours and 5 minutes. That's when it shuts. We'll do a deadline day show tomorrow anyways. So yeah, trust me, the same deadline day. We're just going through the latest reports and hopefully some of these moves actually happen tomorrow. But if you're enjoying the stream, people, there's over 140 of you here. If you can hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here, that'll be much appreciated. It takes a second of your time and helps us grow the channel with the algorithm as well. Get me Che Adams up top. He excites me, and he's got 6 months left on his deal. Che Adams doesn't really. I mean, I'm not really sure. Yeah,
although ironically, I'd rather have him than Akpom.
I don't really care. Just give me one of the two.
Fair enough.
Give me one of the two.
Fair enough.
Akpom is clear, or Che Adams, like they both have the strengths and weaknesses. The goal he scored for Burnley against us was sick. A great player. Bags of pace was slotting perfectly. I also think he would bring a balance to the wings as well.
Sure.
Yes, Wharton will get announced tomorrow. Well, we better get announced.
It's not happening tonight, bro. Put it this way.
Exactly. There's any other days left, so hopefully he does get announced. Bollock saying, what about Johnstone at West Ham? So we were linked with him. He's a fullback. But
apparently they rejected it, or something like that.
It's rejected, rejected. I think we'll go back.
I'll take him, but apparently got rejected.
They're not. That's the thing. West Ham, they don't need to give these players a Palace. So hopefully it happens with Cornet, and maybe they just change their mind. But I think it will be a struggle. I think it will be a struggle to try and bring him in more than maybe Akpom, due to it being West Ham and us being their Premier League rivals. But look, that's it for the live Palace news today. Tomorrow, we will be back with hopefully a live deadline day show. Some of these players, maybe by then it might be announced. But if you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future videos and streams. That's it from me and AJ. Keep safe, people. And until next time, up the Palace.